The heartbreaking news of Corey Adams' untimely passing has sent shockwaves through not just the Ole Miss football community, but across the broader college football landscape and far beyond. Corey Adams, a promising young defensive lineman who had just begun his journey with the University of Mississippi football team, was killed in a senseless act of violence, a shooting that occurred in Cordova, Tennessee, a suburb of Memphis. He was only 18 years old. According to reports from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, the shooting left 4 other men injured. Thankfully, those individuals were rushed to a nearby hospital and were reported to be in stable condition, not facing life-threatening injuries. But while others will recover physically, the emotional scars from what happened that day will remain, especially for the family, friends, teammates, and coaches of Corey Adams. His loss is immeasurable. No arrests had been made at the time of the initial reports, and an air of uncertainty still loomed over what exactly transpired during those final moments. It remains unclear whether Adams was the intended target, caught in the crossfire, or simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. What is crystal clear, however, is that a vibrant young man full of dreams, potential, and passion was taken far too soon, before he had a real chance to show the world what he was capable of. Ole Miss quickly released a statement confirming the devastating news of Corey's death. The university expressed deep sorrow and offered their heartfelt condolences to Corey's loved ones, his family, friends, and anyone whose life he had touched during his short but impactful journey. They asked for thoughts and prayers from the university community, urging everyone to remember Corey not just as an athlete but as a person, a young man who had so much life left to live. Pain of losing someone so young, so full of promise, is a pain that words can rarely capture. Corey Adams wasn't just a player on a roster. He was a son, a friend, teammate, a student, a dreamer. And above all, he was a young man with his whole life ahead of him, a life tragically cut short in a moment of unthinkable violence. Corey had only joined the Ole Miss football program a few months prior, enrolling this past winter after a standout high school career that earned him back-to-back All-State honors. He played at Edna Karr High School in New Orleans, a school known for producing not just talented athletes but resilient young men who often grow up surrounded by adversity and find ways to rise above it. Corey was one of those young men. Determined, focused, passionate. Every coach he ever worked with described him as someone who showed up early, worked hard, and left everything on the field. In New Orleans, Corey was more than just a player. He was a beacon of hope for many in his community. In a city where far too many young black men never make it out of the cycle of violence and hardship, Corey stood out as someone who beat the odds. Football was more than a game to him. It was a path forward, a way to help his family, a platform to inspire others, and a foundation on which he could build a better future. He had the discipline, the talent, and the heart to make something special of his life, and he was on his way. Those who knew Corey remember him for his magnetic personality and infectious smile. He had that rare combination of intensity on the field and kindness off it. He was someone people naturally gravitated toward. Teammates looked up to him. Coaches believed in him. Friends loved being around him. On Instagram, he had recently posted pictures of himself at practice, suited up and glowing with pride. There was a joy in his eyes, the joy of a young man living his dream. In those pictures, Corey looked ready. Ready to prove himself. Ready to take that next step. Ready to represent Ole Miss with everything he had. He wasn't just another recruit. He was part of a new wave of talent that brought hope to the program. He had dreams of going pro, of using football to change his life and those of the people around him. He had started writing his story, and now that story has been tragically interrupted. For Ole Miss, the loss goes far beyond the football field. The university is mourning a member of its family, someone who had just begun their college journey. Students, faculty, and fellow athletes are grieving together, trying to process the shock and the pain. Coaches who had only just started to mentor Corey are now left with a void that can't be filled. His death is a sobering reminder that the challenges many student athletes face don't end when they step off the field. They live complex lives, often balancing academic pressures, athletic demands, personal struggles, and in some cases, the weight of their environments back home. The city of New Orleans, too, is mourning. Corey was a proud product of the community, and his loss is a devastating blow. Edna Karr High School, where he built his reputation as a star athlete, held a vigil in his memory. Former coaches spoke through tears about the joy of watching him grow, the pain of losing someone so young, and the need to continue fighting against the senseless violence that continues to plague so many urban communities. As we reflect on Corey's life and legacy, it's hard not to think about all the young athletes across the country walking the same tightrope. Path from high school to college sports is grueling. Takes not only physical talent but mental toughness, sacrifice, and a support system to keep young players focused and grounded. Corey had all of that, and he still became a victim of violence. What more could he have done? How do we as a society protect our young people, especially those from underprivileged communities, from becoming statistics before they can fulfill their promise? Corey Adams was not a headline. He was not just another tragic news story. He was a living, breathing, dreaming human being with a name, a face, and a future. He was someone's child, someone's best friend, a teammate who was looking forward to his first game, a student who had just begun the most exciting chapter of his life, a young man who dared to dream and who was making those dreams real. The issue of gun violence, especially among young people, continues to claim lives at an alarming rate. Each time it happens, there is outrage. There are moments of silence. There are tributes and candlelight vigils. But all too often, those moments fade and the cycle repeats. Corey's death is a painful reminder that we need more than mourning, we need action. We need policies and interventions. We need investment in communities. We need mentorship programs. We need to listen to the young people who are telling us in so many ways that they need help navigating a world that often feels like it's stacked against them. In the days following Corey's death, tributes poured in from across the sports world. College football players from other programs posted messages of solidarity and sorrow. Coaches from rival schools reached out to offer their condolences. It was clear that this wasn't just a loss for Ole Miss. It was a loss for the entire college football family. 'Cause when one of their own is lost, they all feel it. They all understand the fragility of the journey. They all know how quickly it can be taken away. Corey's family, heartbroken beyond words, released a statement through local media thanking the community for the outpouring of love and support. They spoke about Corey as a light in their lives, a young man with laughter that could fill a room and a heart that always had room for others. They are now left trying to find meaning in a tragedy that has turned their world upside down. Even as the investigation into the shooting continues, what remains undeniable is the sense of loss that hangs heavy over those who knew and loved Corey Adams. His absence will be felt not just in the locker room or on the field, but in the quiet moments, the walks to class, the team meals, the locker room jokes, the anticipation of the first game, the dreams that will now remain forever unrealized. Corey's story, though tragically short, deserves to be told with love, with pain, with truth, and with urgency. Because it is the story of so many young men in America, men who have the talent and the will, but who live in a country where opportunity and danger often walk hand in hand. It's a story of what could have been, what should have been,